I'm back. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this episode of English Tricks, where I review your favorite Turkish series with and without English subtitles. And I had to come back video-wise. I've been posting some podcast reviews, but this is it. This is the one for me. I was like, I'm coming back and I'm going to be filming a video review of this because guess what? My girl Demet Ozdemir is back and she is starring in this new series called Adim Farah, and she is starring alongside Engin. If you guys don't remember Engin, he played in The Ambassador's Daughter. Do you guys remember that? Yes, I love that series and I followed it a lot on this channel, which made me fall in love with Engin. And I always loved Demet. She's an amazing actress. I know not everybody agrees, but I definitely think so. And so this new series that they're starring in, we're going to talk about episode 1 because it just came out. I watched the English translation, the English subtitles, I think it was Thursday, but I think it airs on a Wednesday. I'm not absolutely sure, don't quote me. But let's talk about the show. Are you guys ready? I know it's been a minute. And you know something? I was reviewing another show, but the thing is, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know if I'm really passionate about these other actors and actresses that I used to review. So when it's like a new person, I'm like, man, let me fall in love with the story, the plot. But it was just not doing it for me. So I did review one episode from that series. I think it's Adam. I did review one episode from them, but then I never felt like that desire to go back, research, and watch the next episodes. I never felt that. And with my busy schedule, I need to love it. So anyway, before episode 2 comes out about Adim Farah, we need to watch this, honey. We need to talk about it, okay? So it starts off where you see Demet, who's playing Farah. She is in the back of a truck, and I guess they're crossing a border or something like that. And the border people stop the truck or whatever, and they never actually check the back, which is crazy because they are sitting in the back of this truck in plain sight. They're not trying to hide or do anything to protect themselves, except for one woman who doesn't speak, and she's trying to, she's I guess she's just going to give herself up, and then Demet appears, Farah appears, and she stops her, and she kind of consoles her and tries to help her, through getting to wherever they're going. And they end up going to this building place or somewhere like that, and two guys, which one of them I know from another series. I don't remember what it is, but if I do, I'll put it here. So he comes from a series, and he's arguing with this other guy, but you could tell right away that the person that's arguing is someone of importance, and he's feeling like he's being replaced. And in the midst of this argument, then Engin appears, and Engin's name in this, hold on, let me read, because I'm not great with the Turkish names here. Tahir. Yes, Tahir. And so Engin is playing this character named Tahir, and he comes in and he kind of squashes it, tells the guy, yo, calm down, chill, whatever. And he actually makes eye contact with Farah, but he's not really in the moment right there. And basically we find out that Farah and these other women have been hired to clean. So they clean the facility, we're all said and done. And then Farah, the woman that doesn't speak very well, or she's mute or something like that, she decides she has a job. She was called to work a night shift, and she decides that she doesn't want to do the night shift. She's afraid because there'll be men there or something like that. So one of the ladies convinces Farah to take the position. Now here's a little bit about Farah. She is a single woman, and she has a son, and the son is I guess he's sick and can't be exposed to germs, and so he has to be secluded to his bedroom, and they have coverings so that I guess wherever he is in the bedroom is completely filtered, and they wash their hands really well. I don't know how germophobic he can be, because like I see them going in there, but like, all they're doing is washing their hands. They're not changing their clothes, which carries lots of germs. They're not washing their hair. They're not putting on masks. But if he goes out into public, he wears like this astronaut suit because he needs some kind of transplant so he can be able to attack the world, or live like a regular kid. But he's trapped to his room, and she is a single woman, and she is a refugee. She's not supposed to be wherever she is, which I'm guessing is somewhere in Turkey. But in the description, it says she's an Iranian woman, and she has a son that's sick. Let's see if they say what he has. His immune system is naturally weak and susceptible to diseases. So I guess it's bad, but it's not bad enough for them that they need to completely change their clothes and wash their hair, whatever. So he's a cute little boy. I've never seen him in any acting series. Let me know if you guys have, but I've never seen him in anything. So anyway, she decides she'll take on the job. She'll go and do this night shift for this woman so that the woman doesn't have to go. She ends up going to like this club type place. No one's there, so she goes ahead and she gets to work. She starts cleaning, and all is good, right? Later on, the two guys that were arguing end up in that club, and now they're arguing in the club. Now the spoiled rich brat, that's what I want to call him, the spoiled rich brat, he gets, really upset because I guess he feels like this guy is taking over his business. And I'm a little confused because there's someone watching Farah's son, and the person watching Farah's son actually made contact with this guy. She knows him from somewhere, but she keeps referring to Farah as her sister. So I'm like, maybe it's a school friend or something that, she wouldn't know her, but is that her real sister? It gets a little confusing there. But they are introducing characters little by little. So there's this girl that's saying she's Farah's sister, but later on you realize they're probably not blood sisters, but they're connected by some way. But they live in the same apartment building. She's watching the son right now. So anyway, both guys are in there fighting. The rich kid pulls out a gun. The other guy tries to get the gun away from him. He eventually gets the gun back, and out of his nervousness, he ends up shooting the guy. By the time he shoots the guy, then that's when Tahir finally appears, because someone was following the rich kid and realizes like, oh, this rich kid's gonna do something stupid. So he ends up calling Tahir. Tahir does make it to the place, but when he makes it there, the guy has already been shot. Now here's the thing, Farah is also in this building, and she hears the argument, hears the yelling, and she decides to hide. But unfortunately, after the shooting, her phone goes off. So they realize that she's there. They pull her out, and she's like begging for her life. She doesn't want to get killed. The rich kid's like, oh my gosh, she saw me do this. She's going to tell on me, everything. But Tahir seems to have a bit of a soft heart for her. So she decides to strike a bargain. She's like, I'll clean the place. So they remove the body. The guy dies. She cleans the place up. And, Tahir's like, I'm going to take you home or whatever. He says, I'm going to get in the car. So she gets in the car. And then midway on the drive, he asks her for her address. And she freaks out because obviously she has a son at home, and she doesn't want to tell these mobsters that, she doesn't want them to know where she lives. So she literally jumps out of the car in the middle of the highway. And then she crosses the highway, gets on the other side, and there's some cops over there, I guess dealing with like a crash or something happening to a car. So she starts walking towards them, and when she starts doing that, Tahir decides to walk away. And he gets in his car and he leaves. And so she goes home. She's very nervous. Her friend from upstairs comes down, tries to get into the apartment, but like she's completely nervous. She's freaking out. She doesn't know what's going on. She sleeps with her son that night, and she's good to go. The next morning, she actually ends up waking up late, but the friend from upstairs reminded her like, hey, we got to take your son to the hospital to get checked up. So they do end up going to the hospital. He gets his checkup, and as they're leaving the hospital, the guy that discovered where she was hiding in the place sees her and, tells Tahir, like, I see her, she's leaving the hospital, she has a kid or whatever. So she, like, sneaks out the hospital, gets in a taxi, goes all the way home, and her son, she had promised her son she was going to take him to the park or something like that. But, he's like upset about it. She's like, go to your room. And he ends up going to his room. He screams because guess who's in his bedroom? Tahir is in his bedroom. Crazy, right? So, and the crazy part is Tahir's in his bedroom with all his clothes on, not showered, nothing, tent zipped, everything. Tahir keeps on, the son keeps on his mask. Let me tell you the son's name, because his name is a little bit difficult to pronounce. I'm going to try my best here. His name is Karim Shah. Karim Shah. That's his name. So he decides to, he's in the room, and then she's like, okay, come out of the room. Let's have a conversation outside of the room. So he's like, why'd you run away? And she's like, I was freaking out. I'm scared. I said I wouldn't say anything and all that stuff. So basically he threatens her life and threatens her son's life and says, if you say anything, then you're going to jeopardize your son's life. Now, fast forward, she finds out that the guy that was killed was actually a friend of her neighbor, and I guess was also a friend of her neighbor's, I don't know if it's uncle or dad or something, who's actually a police chief, and the guy that got killed was actually working undercover. So when she realizes all these people have been affected, it's someone close to her that's been affected, and she knows who the killer is, she decides she's going to go to the police station to tell them, what she knows. I think the crazy part is that she just left the son there at the house, even though she knew that Tahir knew where the son is, knows where she lives. I would not, if I'm going to go tell on somebody, I'm going to hide my kid somewhere and then go tell, then get my kid, because obviously if you tell, someone's going to know. Now, this police chief was one step ahead of the game, because he knew, he's the one that put the guy undercover. And so he went straight to Tahir. He pulled him over at a traffic stop, arrested him because he had possession of a gun, and got him in jail, and was trying to hold him in jail because he knew that Tahir had to have something to do with this guy's death. So he was holding him in jail. Well, that very morning, they released Tahir because they had no evidence. They had nothing to do, they had nothing to hold him with. And so they decided that his lawyer came and they were able to get him released. Now, meanwhile, Farah's at the police station waiting to be able to talk with the police chief. And the police chief is super upset, but he had no choice. They had to let him go. They had to let the guy go. The police chief was actually they ended up taking him off the case because he was so attached to it personally. So they ended up taking him off the case. Now, as Tahir's leaving the building, he sees Farah is there, and Farah decides to try to book it, run, get out of there. So Tahir calls. Obviously, Tahir's not going to go after her because Tahir knows that the police are watching him. So he sends some other guys to go and get her. And so she ends up making it home before they get to her house. And she packs up her son, she gets all her stuff, and she leaves. And as she's walking towards a park area, she sees the guys pull up in front of her place. She ends up going to a bus station. Well, she goes to her job where she does the cleaning services for, and she threatens her boss, and she's like, give me money, I need money, I'm leaving. And he's trying to tell her he's not going to give her any money, and she's like, if you don't, I'm going to tell them that you are employing refugees, which is against the law, people without papers. Now, I want to also put something in there that I forgot to mention earlier, was that when she got the checkup, when Karim Shah got his checkup at the hospital, the doctor that was taking care of him is kind of taking care of him under the table because she doesn't have proper paperwork. But her friend / sister has a connection with the hospital. I don't know if she's a nurse or something, but she has some kind of connection that she was able to convince this doctor to, keep track of Karim Shah's illness. And so he tells her at the hospital that, he has a donor that could possibly help him. But in order for him to get the transplant, he needs to be registered. And so for some reason, they say, they tell her, if she gets married, then I guess that would make her a quote-unquote citizen, and she can get papers, and then she'll be able to get papers for the son. And if they do that, then he can get the transplant. So she's like, well, there's no dad right now, and so I'm gonna figure it out. As soon as that scene came, guys, I guarantee you she's gonna marry Tahir. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but she's going to marry Tahir. Facts. Facts, facts, facts. She's gonna marry Tahir. So anyway, let's go back to where we are in the story now. She gets the money from her boss. She goes to the bus station. She buys a ticket so that she can leave. Now, her friend calls her and asks her where she is. She tells her I'm leaving, blah blah blah, and someone overhears it, sits behind, follows her, gets on the same bus she gets on, sits right behind her. She falls asleep with her son, and then he steals like a necklace or something from her, and then gets off on one of the stops and tries to leave with the necklace. So she runs after him. She leaves her son in the parking lot. She's like, wait for me here. She runs after him to try to get him to give her back the necklace, and he's like, no, I'm not going to give it back to you. She ends up, I guess he pushes her or something, and then she ends up fainting or something like that. And thank God Karim Shah was like right there. He saw her, he ran to her, he stayed with her, because it was like complete blackout. She wakes up in the hospital. She's freaking out because, I guess that was the one valuable thing she had. But it was awesome because the guy must have dropped it, and Karim Shah saw it and picked it up and kept it for his mother. So they're at the hospital. She gets herself checked out. She starts walking out of the hospital, and a car pulls up with a guy that had just been shot, but he looks like to be a very wealthy guy. And they get him on a stretcher, and they start pulling him into the hospital. And she's looking at him, and she's realizing like this guy has internal bleeding, but it looked like the doctors didn't know what was wrong with the guy, even though he had a gunshot wound. So she runs to the driver, and she tells the driver, listen, you're going to need to get some airlift. You need to get him airlifted out of here, figure out something, because he's going to need a lot more than this small hospital in this place or whatever. So she ends up going into the room, and she tells the doctor, like, he has internal bleeding, you have to do this and that or whatever. And the doctor's like, who are you? She's like, I used to be a doctor, I'm not a doctor anymore. So I guess she was a doctor in Iran, wherever she's from, Iranian or whatever. So he's like freaking out. He's like, you better not let him die. And so the guy's like, okay, whatever, you just take it on, do whatever you have to do. So she ends up getting his bleeding under control, his internal bleeding under control, and air medical came, and they start wheeling him outside. I guess the son of the rich guy found out about his dad, so he was already in the helicopter. He jumps out of the helicopter to meet his dad, and Farah sees him and realizes this is the guy that committed the murder that I witnessed. And then a few minutes later, she sees Tahir. Oh my gosh. So now she sees Tahir, she sees the guy that's the murderer, and she's there. And the wealthy man that was shot and getting airlifted out is like, take that lady with you, take the woman with you. She's there, she saved my life, take her with you. And so Tahir lifts up his head, and who does he see? Farah. Like, I mean, it couldn't have been anything but a small world after all. Like, seriously, like, of all the people for her to save, it was gonna be the father of the murder person that she witnessed. And Tahir's there, the person that she's trying to get away from. And so obviously she has no choice but to go with them. Now, I did watch the preview for episode 2. They are having like private conversations. You kind of see Tahir's becoming more connected with the son. I guarantee you they're going to get married. But I didn't see the English translation of it. I have to go back and look at that. But guys, I'm loving the plot. I'm loving the storyline. I'm going to be following this one. I'm going to be talking to you guys about it. Probably going to be posting my reviews on a Sunday, just because it's easier for me to keep track of. Saturday or Sunday. Just keep a lookout for that. But tell me, what do you guys think about this show? Isn't it like exciting? Because I'm excited, and I cannot wait to watch episode 2. I cannot wait to follow this one. If there are any actors or like really famous actors that you guys know from other series that I used to watch, that are in new series, let me know about it, because I probably could watch one more. But the 2 hour thing is a little bit much for me these days. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to click that subscribe button, share this video with people, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!